listening to Films of Classic, brought to you by ELS Everett Lee Show.
What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Films of Classic, brought to you by ELS, the Everett Lee Show. This is an exclusive Patreon podcast for Patreon members that sign up and become a Patreon on the Patreon page, which is patreon.com/ELS_DT. And also, you can listen to Everett Lee Show podcast on everettleeshow.libsyn.com, Stitcher Radio. Download that app for your smartphone and tablet, or go to stitcher.com/podcast/Everett Lee Show. You can also listen to Everett Lee Show on iTunes. Everett Lee Show is on iTunes. But for this podcast is a Patreon exclusive podcast. We're recording on both ends, video and audio. And speaking of audio, let's put the damn music. All right. Well, joining me on this podcast, this Patreon exclusive podcast of Films of Classic, is none other than my buddy Mcshaft. Mcshaft, what's up, man?
Hey. It's getting ready to review a movie, breaking out some classic movies from the old film vault. We're going to be doing some movies that you audience listeners may have heard of, may not have heard of, may have seen, may not have seen. So, it's going to be a very interesting series we're going to have here. Mm-hmm. Just because, a lot of people may have heard of these movies or maybe have seen references to a lot of these movies, but may have not have actually have seen the movie. Yeah. So this is going to turn a lot of people on to some really good movies here. And then for the people that have seen these movies, it's really going to bring back some good memories, we hope.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. And I will mention on this episode of Films of Classic, we are talking about none other than, it's considered to this day, now it's considered probably as a cult classic. And you know what movie I'm talking about. Because
this movie was written and directed by a very famous person. Yes. People that, or somebody that people are going to know. I think he also did E.T., didn't he?
No, he didn't do E.T. That's Spielberg.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. All right.
We're talking about Stephen King. We're talking about Maximum Overdrive. That's what we're talking about. Maximum Overdrive. This film came out in 1986. It was directed by Stephen King. It was his first directorial debut. There, I can hear myself now. Maximum Overdrive, directed by Stephen King. It was written by Stephen King for film and screen. It starred Emilio Estevez as William Bill Robinson. You had Pat Hingle as Bubba Hendershot. You got Laura Harrington as Brett Graham. And then, of course, you got Yearling Smith as Connie. The budget for this movie was about, what, 10 mil?
10 million.
10 million, and it only grossed in about 7. It didn't even make about what it cost to make this film. And those familiar with the film or who's not familiar with the film, if you're looking up on the screen there, you can see the poster of Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive. The plot of this movie is when When Earth passes through a trail of the Remore, I don't even know how the hell you say that, Mcshaft.
They pass through the tail of the Ray M rogue comet, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And the machines come to life, and they threaten to kill mankind. A group of survivors is under siege of fierce trucks at a Dixie Boy truck stop in a gas station, and they have to fight to survive.
Now, it's not just trucks that are basically going rogue by themselves trying to kill humans. It's pretty much anything electronic or has a motor to it.
Yes.
But it focuses more on this truck stop with the semis.
Yeah. It takes a group of people. You already had some people there at the truck stop. Of course, you had Emilio Estevez that was already there. Mm-hmm. His boss, who's an asshole. And then, of course, you have... I had to throw that out there. Yeah. And then you got the workers there that work there at the truck stop. And then, of course, you got the little diner that has, you got the waitress there.
Little arcade in the back.
Yeah, you got the arcade in the back. And I want to get to that here in a little while. But you had a typical truck stop setting. And then other people come along and they band together. And they basically have to find a way to survive so they don't get killed by every electronic device and these semis that are possessed and come to life because of the whatever it is from the comet.
Well, the irony, though, is that the trucks are using the people to basically pump gas for all the other trucks.
That's later on. Yeah, you're jumping ahead here, man.
Well, and it's just, like originally, I don't think that they were actually out to try to kill them originally. I think they were just kind of like showing, hey, that we're alive and we're going to basically trap you, and then they, are kind of use them.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that because since you brought that up now, okay. Yeah, at the part in the truck stop there where they're pumping gas, and you notice how Emilio's all tired and wore out and stuff. It's almost like the machines. It's like, all right, you get to feel how we feel, what we have to do every single day without any rest of any, compensation for our needs. Yep. You're gonna feel what we feel, and Emilio, his character, felt that. That's a good point. That's a good point of this movie because a lot of crazy shit happens in this movie, and it's nothing too serious and nothing too comical about it for a sci-fi. This is one of those different type of sci-fi movies that comes out there.
Well, let's take a look at some of the cast and see what else they've been in too, in case people aren't familiar with the names.
Yeah, of course, Emilio Estevez. We know what movies he's been in.
Mighty Ducks.
Young Guns. Men at Work. Yep. That was a good one with Charlie Sheen, his brother, Charlie Sheen. There's some other ones.
Pat Hingle.
Breakfast Club. Of course, the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, Emilio Estevez. That's right.
Pat Hingle, you may have remembered him from Batman.
Well, the first
in 1989.
The first four Batmans. Yeah. The first two with Michael Keaton, the one with
Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Batman Forever.
It was
Batman and Robin.
It was a Val Kilmer, and then the fourth one, Batman and Robin, which was George Clooney, I think it was.
Yeah. The third one was Batman Forever with Val Kilmer.
He played Commissioner Gordon. Now, he didn't have a large role in it. But if you watch those movies, you can see him have some, occasional pop-ins here and there.
Right. He was born in Miami, Florida in 1924, and he died at the age of 84 in 2009 on January 3rd in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. That's coincidental because this movie was filmed in North Carolina. Yeah. Whereabouts at, Mcshaft?
I think it was, Williamsburg?
Yeah, Williamsburg. That's where it was filmed at there. And, of course, we have Laura Harrington, who played Brett
She was in What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I believe, and that one famous movie, The Devil's Advocate, if y'all remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had.
And then that movie with the talking bird, Polly.
Yeah, she was in that.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
She went on to do that. And, of course, you had John Short, who played Kurt, one of the husband of the newlyweds. He played in Apollo 13, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Ransom, believe it or not. He went on to do that after years after Maximum Overdrive. And, of course, one person in this movie who played Connie, Yearling Smith. She's known for the voice of Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons, man.
Yes.
Yeah, she went on to do the voice of Lisa Simpson on The Simpsons. And actually, when I read about that, you can actually hear the voice of Lisa Simpson at certain parts, you know? I mean, her character was just, to me, was a comic relief. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think every good movie's got to have a little bit of comedy in it, you know? I mean, just so it kind of just breaks up everything, kind of gives everyone a little chuckle, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. Her and, had it right here. Her, Connie and Kurt were the comic relief of this. Yearling Smith and John Short. They definitely were. And, of course, we had the waitress. Who the heck was the waitress?
Oh.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was, it was Wanda. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it was Wanda.
She did the infamous line of, "We made you," right before she got gunned down. Yeah. She also took a knife to the wrist, too, like the electronic, carving knives that went all haywire. Yeah.
That was crazy. That was crazy. There's so much about this movie that we have to get into and talk about and stuff. And one of the things, a little bit more backstory on this movie here. I mean, I'm stoked about this. With the plot, it was filmed. The film was nominated for 2 Golden Raspberry Awards, including Worst Director for King and Worst Actor for Emilio Estevez in 1987. But both lost against Prince for Under the Cherry Moon. 1988, Maximum Overdrive was nominated for a Best Film in the International Fantasy Film Award. King himself described the film as a, quote, moron movie. He considered the process a learning experience, after which he intended never to direct again. Maximum Overdrive's King's only directorial effort. Through dozens of films based on his novels and short stories, this is the only one where he said, you know what, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And he stepped behind the director's chair, and basically he was coked out of his mind at the time. And he said the next time he directs a film, he's going to do it sober. Well, what is this, 2017, 1986, about 30 years?
Yep.
I guess he's not sober. Nah, we love Stephen King, man. You know what? I have to give my hats off to Stephen King for directing a movie that's based off a story that he wrote. How often, Mcshaft, would someone write a story, write a movie, about like a book or something, and then decide, you know what, I'm going to direct it? How many people that can actually do that?
Not very many. I mean, to write a story is one thing, but then to take over the directorial, aspect of it, I think can be very difficult because, you have this vision in your head, you wrote it down on paper, you got it into a book, but now it's like, well, how do I turn that into a visual story as well? How can I take what I wrote and what you can read and make it into, you know, something that people are going to see and they're going to like. And then, I mean, it could be a little bit, you know, easier because you can actually see the emotions on the characters' faces and kind of see what they went through versus, you know, trying to read and trying to basically kind of visualize it in your head.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, when it comes to making a movie, I mean, you have to do all the right things to make sure it's going to keep people's attention, you know, and it's really got to, you know, I would say surpass the expectations of the book.
Mm-hmm. One thing about this movie here, it has general campy tones. It contains some black humor, you know, black comedy they call it. They call it dark humor. It contains that. And it's basically on more of what Stephen King's Sunborn subject matter is in his books. One thing a lot of people, when you mention that have seen this movie, Maximum Overdrive, they say the soundtrack. The soundtrack kicks ass.
And I wonder why that could be.
The soundtrack to this movie, Maximum Overdrive, was done by one of the greatest rock and roll bands. And at that time, they were actually at the height of their career. We're talking about AC/DC. When you think of Maximum Overdrive, you think of AC/DC. Basically, in the mid-'80s, AC/DC, the hard rock soundtrack, the hard rock and rock and roll was just fantastic around that time. So it's like, why not take one of the biggest bands and have them do the soundtrack to the movie? And
let me ask you this though: can you name like any other movies that have had just one band do the entire soundtrack to the movie? And don't say Metallica some kind of monster. I don't count. That's a live concert thing.
Yeah.
When you think about it, I mean, where the movie has had, you know, one band do the entire soundtrack. Yeah, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I can't either. The only movie I could think of is this right here, Maximum Overdrive. It was Stephen King's favorite band. Who would have thought Stephen King? You know, he's sitting there, he's writing, you know, the Cujo, and he's sitting there listening to Hell's Bells.
I mean, probably. Probably. You know what I mean?
And AC/DC album Who Made Who was released at the, you know, as the Maximum Overdrive soundtrack, and it included you know, one of the best, you know, selling singles for AC/DC at the time, Who Made Who, You Shook Me All Night Long, and Hell's Bells. Now,
I can't remember what scene You Shook Me All Night Long was on.
I can't remember.
I know where Who Made Who was. I know where Hell's Bells was.
Mm-hmm. But some of the like basically like for the movie, they did a lot of the instrumental stuff too for the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up on the notes here about AC/DC, which is pretty neat. Yeah, off of imdb.com, you can check this out here. It says that, you know, Stephen King was a huge AC/DC fan. When he got to meet them, he asked them if they would provide the music for the movie. But, you know, he also offered the band a role in the film, which they declined because they're not actors and they don't appear in movies at all, despite claims of the scene of them on a boat, which is not true at all. The band agreed to do the soundtrack after, check this out, Stephen King's son, Ain't No Fun Waiting Around to Be a Millionaire from the band's 76 Dirty Deeds album. And King sang the entire song from start to finish, and the band basically laughed about it, and they're like, okay, man, we'll do the soundtrack to your movie.
Here's a fun fact for it I can see there now. So in the movie, basically to kind of escape all the trucks and machines and everything, they do what anybody would do in a movie like this, just like in a zombie apocalypse. You want to go to an island, okay? So basically, they were talking about going to this island, and I think the name of the island was Haven.
Yes.
And on this island, there was no cars, no nothing, so it was like their safe haven. Mm-hmm. But what's ironic, though, in 2010, there's a sci-fi TV show called Haven, Okay, so you can see where I'm going with this now.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it was based upon Stephen King's work, and in the second season, I think it was the season 2 episode. It was called Love Machine. Okay, here we go, machines again. The cars and the boats are seen coming to life and attacking humans, just like Maximum Overdrive. So, I mean, is there like time kind of cross here where that actually happened during this time, or maybe it happened again? Maybe that comet came back around, which would lead me to believe that could there be a Maximum Overdrive 2?
Well,
I mean, you think about all the technology we use today. I mean, we've got all these gadgets and gizmos and everything else. I mean, imagine how much chaos would ensue if all this came to life and tried to kill us. I mean, your cars are equipped with GPS. Imagine that. You're sitting there in your car, the seatbelt tightens up, you can't unlock your doors, and then your GPS is like, fuck you, and then just runs you into a brick wall.
I thought about that after I watched this movie because of 1986, what technology was at the time. I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, you know what? If they remade this movie for modern times, oh my God, they would actually have a field day with this.
Actually, it would be a field day if they took that Pixar movie Cars and had it happen, because they're all machines. Cars, it's like Cars 4, the Maximum Overdrive. Oh man!
But one thing about the soundtrack, you were asking about this, okay? The one of the things is the entire '86 album, Who May Who, is the soundtrack to the movie. AC/DC did write a new track called Who May Who and various instrumental, aka score music. Only 2 of the instrumentals appear on the album. The rest of the songs are from previous AC/DC albums and also contain a slightly edited version of Sink the Pink. The movie also featured 2 unreleased mixes of previous released songs, one being a more raw version of You Shook Me All Night Long, and the vocals cut out for those about the rock heard only in the movie and not on the album. At the time of the release, many of the music stores had no idea the album Who May Who was a compilation soundtrack for the movie, and many mislabeled the album as an AC/DC's greatest hits. Limited pressing of the album did feature a small print and the movie logo stating it was the soundtrack to Stephen King's Maximum Overdrive, but it was later removed for future pressings.
Imagine if you get your hands on the first pressing on that. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh my God, yeah, that'd be freaking great. We're gonna have to go to Atlantic Sounds to see if they got that.
So let's start here by kind of breaking down the movie.
Yeah, let's
we'll kind of start from the beginning and just kind of do a quick little overview of the movie. We'll kind of tell about some of our favorite scenes here and what we think about certain aspects of scenes. And for people that haven't seen the movie, we'll kind of give them an overview. And for people that have seen it, a nice little refresher on it.
Yeah, the movie starts out and it shows the Earth, and it gives that little thing, at the beginning of it, and you have that weird sound like, and you're reading the description, and you're like, oh, okay, just like mentioned before about the plot of the movie. Okay, the opening scene with the drawbridge. I mean,
you have a bunch of cars.
No, not the drawbridge. Well, hold on. Let me back it up. The guy at the ATM.
Oh, yeah.
Which was Stephen King.
Stephen King. Okay, Stephen King. He's at an ATM, and there's a clock on the ATM. It says like 7:11 a.m., and all of a sudden it's a digital clock, and then it just kind of transforms from the time into fuck you. So Stephen King sitting there, he's bending down at the ATM, and he's like, honey, he goes, this machine just told me to fuck off.
Actually, you're about half right there. The ATM, it said, it started printing out asshole, and he said, hey, honey, this machine called me an asshole.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right before that, that's where it said, the time changed. It said, fuck you. Yeah. So that was funny as hell right there. But the drawbridge, man. Now, what was funny about that was the bridge. There was
a bunch of cars on a drawbridge.
Yeah, and the bridge goes up, and just chaos all over the place, cars wrecking. But what's funny about that is the guys working the drawbridge, an old guy and a young guy, and just it's like some of the things in this movie you could kind of relate to and see that has not changed. For instance, the old guy picking on the younger guy like, oh, look at this stupid kid. He thinks he knows everything. I know everything. And then when the drawbridge opens up, if you remember, after all the chaos stuff, he comes right out and he's like, oh, my God. He's like, we're done. We're done. And he looks at the young guy and he's like, look what you did. Look what you did. He threw all the blame on him. Like I didn't do that because I've been doing this for years. I wouldn't do nothing about this. This young punk would. You know? Yeah. Is that not like relative for what's out in the world nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
You get someone who's a veteran and they basically look at someone who's like young and they just try to throw everything on them, like if it's their fault.
Well, it's almost like a rite of passage to where they throw all this, like the same thing that they had to go through, and basically they kind of learn from their mistakes. Right. They basically just try to show you the hard way how to do things, pretty much.
But it shows. The way this film. One thing I looked at when I watched this movie was how each scene was cut, and I do have to point this out. I do like how the scenes were cut, and with all the stuff that goes on, like with the action, the explosions and stuff, it gives you enough time to see everything.
Yeah,
and then it does a cut, and it was cut pretty good. But of course, we get the Dixie Boy truck stop. You
got Emilio Estevez. He's a cook. He's in the back making food. You got your typical, truckers sitting there getting their meal, taking a quick break from the road. You got, the arcade, the games going off, making noises, and you kind of get a little introduction to the characters. You got the waitress there talking about, some of the rude people sitting there in the diner. You got their boss back there. The guy that owns the Dixie Boy, kind of getting some shady kind of dialogue with Emilio Estevez, kind of hinting at that Emilio Estevez is kind of on his last chance, maybe some trouble with the law or something, and he's kind of giving him an opportunity to stay straight by having him be a cook inside his diner. Yeah. But he's always trying to kind of push Emilio toward doing something bad.
Yeah, it's like
he's a shady guy. You can definitely tell.
Oh yeah, Pat Hingle, he plays the boss, and he throws in that thick North Carolina accent, and one part in the movie which is relatable nowadays to any job, like if you, just about anything, you get this boss. It's like he tells them, it's like, I want you to clock in for 8, but you're gonna work 9. And it's like, no, I'm not going to. And he's like, oh yes you are, because we may have to, have a talk. And he explains to Emilio that if you don't do what he says, he's gonna get, like probation. Yeah. And he's gonna go get reported and get in more trouble than what he's doing. You know what I mean? And it's like anybody can relate to that. You get that asshole boss, or someone that's above you that basically is like, yeah, you're going to work these hours, but then you're only going to get paid these hours because your ass belongs to me. Remember that part there?
Yeah,
that line?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's like, damn. But one interesting thing about the Dixie Boy truck stop, it was not a real truck stop. It was construction 10 miles outside of Wilmington, North Carolina. It was convincing enough that several trucks tried to stop in. Eventually, the production had to be put an announcement in local papers saying that the Dixie Boy was just a movie set. You imagine that? You're a truck driver. You need to go get gas.
I know, right?
And you come rolling up. Hey, what's going on? Oh, yeah, this is a movie set. Like, oh, man, I need to fill up because I'm heading down the road. I'm heading up to Charlotte. You know what I mean?
All right.
Now,
I want to give me some steak and taters. No, this is the movie set.
Now, with everything going on, especially like you know, with the arcade in the back, you know, like you had that one guy in the back there, who basically everything was all going on, and I didn't get him. That's one thing I didn't get. He's just sitting there looking around at the arcade. And when everything starts screwing up, the pinball machine's cracking. What's he say? What's he say to the damn stuff?
Man, this shit crazy.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you. And then that's it. And then the cigarette machine. If you remember the cigarette machine, it started spitting out cigarettes. Everything started going haywire. What the hell does this guy do?
He tries to get the money from the machine. All the cigarettes are popping out of the machine. So he's like, you know, he thinks he's in heaven here. So like a few minutes later, it cuts back over to the scene, and he's got like his pockets stuffed up with like candy and cigarettes. He's got like money like falling out of his pockets and everything.
Yeah, and then he walks up to the arcade thing and is doing some kind of thing on it, and like some kind of like, you know, weird kind of like, you know, like signs and stuff and everything.
Yeah, symbols. He walks over to it, and the thing just shoots the thing electricity at him, just like zaps him, and like kills him right there.
He died with a bunch of cigarettes in his pocket. Yep. Money's all. I mean, that was funny right there. And then of course, with everything going on, then we cut. They cut to a little league team playing baseball, you know, and everyone's all happy. The game's all over, you know. It's just typical, you know, little league. And the
coach is like, "Hey, good job." He goes, "I'm gonna buy y'all soda."
Yeah.
Because, you know, back in the day, you know, your coach didn't take you out to the CC's Pizza Buffet every time you won or lost a game. I mean, you had to earn that soda, because back in the day, soda was a treat, you know. Yeah. So. You know, it's kind of funny, too, because, you know, it's like nowadays, like, oh, whether you win or lose, you know, it's like, we're still going to treat you. It's like no, it's like, you lose, it's like, okay, you know, good job, but, you know, we'll get them next time, you know, and then it's like nowadays, like, oh, you lost, it's okay, we're still going to buy you a new video game or something. No. It's like, no, it's like, you know, you won, you get the reward, you know?
Yeah, you had to earn it. Yeah.
Because like nowadays it's like, oh, you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings.
Yeah, I know. They're too sensitive. So the kids, they did a good job, and their reward was the coach was gonna, you know, I'm gonna go over to the soda machine. I'm gonna buy you a soda. Yay! He walks up there, he puts in the money, and then he hits the thing, and he's like, "What the hell?" And all of a sudden you hear, out of nowhere.
Machine comes up. I think it hit him in the nuts,
and then
he like it drops to his knees, and then it hit him in the chest, and then it hit him in the forehead, and he had a big old imprint in his forehead, a real bloody imprint.
Now, what's funny about that right there? That's a little bit of a flaw right there, because when that can hits him, and it's like, oh, it knocked him out. And then the kids, and all of a sudden the soda machine starts shooting sodas out at the kids. No one's safe, all right, in this movie. No one is safe. So the soda machines are flying out, and, you know, kids are get killed by cans of soda. Yeah. So the one main kid comes crawling over and is like, Coach, and he's sitting there, and he was smart. He had his catcher's mask, so he put that on, and he ran over to check on his coach. Then the coach had the Coke can mark on his head, and he died. You know, death by soda. Or actually, death by caffeine.
Right, yeah. And then you cut to the scene where kid's riding a bike, and he like hits something and ends up flying forward over the bike.
Flips all
he's laying there. All of a sudden, and what would come up? Okay. A fucking steamroller. Okay, now of all vehicles to burst into a baseball field, we're gonna have a fucking steamroller. Okay, I mean, could have been a car, couldn't have been like a lawnmower. It's like, no, they're gonna give you a fucking steamroller. Okay, and all of a sudden they just goes and it just like runs over this poor kid on this bicycle.
I know, it crushes him. Yeah, and then it goes after the kid with the catcher mask, and he takes off hauling ass, and he gets away from it.
Now there was some controversy with the steamroller scene. You were telling me.
Yes, I'm trying to pull that up right here. Just laugh about it. I don't know where damn steamroller goes. Where the hell did it come from? Some of the stuff I didn't take too seriously when.
It's ironic though because I said something about a lawnmower, because in a baseball field. After that scene when the kid's running away on his bicycle, he's going through the neighborhood.
Yeah.
There actually is a bloodied up lawnmower on the ground, and it's got like a hand or something under it. So
yeah.
A lawnmower takes a lawnmower. I mean, it's like this high off the ground. I mean, what the fuck? Did it jump up out of the air and get the guy in the face? And then you had one of the most devious cars running around that was trying to kill people, the fucking ice cream truck. Okay, you hear it ding, 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 and all of a sudden it's just like the sound of death.
The steamroller scene.
I want to know how that lawnmower killed that guy. It's like this high off the ground. How?
What? Now,
I mean, if it came after you and hit the back of your foot, you're just gonna be like, oh fuck. I mean, you're not gonna like fall on the ground and be like, lawnmower. Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna get my theory about that. Okay, here. Why they were shooting the Steamroller Rampage scene that ran across the baseball field. Stephen King asked the special effects department to place a bag of fake blood near the dummy, the prosthetic of the kid who got ran over. The effect would be that the smear of blood would appear all over the steamroller and be re-smeared on the grass all over and over, and like a printing press. That's what Steve wanted. When they were filming the scene, however, the bag of blood ended up exploding too soon and sprayed everywhere, making it appear as the boy's head had exploded. King was thrilled with the result. I mean, he was like, yeah, this is great, man. This is what I want. But the censors demanded the shot be cut. However, we talked about this before we filmed this. Apparently, there is a VHS tape. VHS came out before digital stuff for those young people.
You can get VHS movies like pretty cheap too.
Yeah.
Like 50 cents to $1 in some places.
Apparently, there's a VHS copy of Maximum Overdrive where that scene stayed in the movie and was not cut. I don't know if it's out on DVD or Blu-ray, but I'd love to see that cut version just to see.
I think I figured out the whole like lawnmower part and why he had a steamroller of all things. Because during the making of the movie, Stephen King was like coked out of his mind. So he admitted that he was on coke. So I think that's why he's just like, all right, I have an idea about this ballpark scene here. Let's get a lawnmower. No, not a lawnmower. A steamroller. Yes, we're gonna have a steamroller of all things come in and smush this kid. What? I mean, it could have been the golf cart.
I know.
A golf cart or something. No, steamroller.
Now, if you notice when people later on were getting ran over by semis, they would have this look right here, like the semi to come and turn around and they're like, and they're just standing there and they get ran over. Your lawnmower theory. Okay,
coke is a hell of a drug.
The lawnmower's coming and it's alive and you're standing there going, and it's like...
Cocaine, ladies and gentlemen, cocaine. So...
But that right there, and it's like the like everything going on. The kid's riding down the street, and he's seeing dead people all over the place.
I think the one
he's seen a dog. He's seen a dog. Okay, with a toy car in its mouth, and it died.
Yeah, or the girl sitting on her porch and she had headphones on, and like she had blood coming out the side of her head. I mean, it's like your volume on your headphones can only go up so far. So, how in the hell did that happen?
I know exactly.
Just to let y'all know, the reason why he went out of scene because he got some like half retarded like insect on his desk. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Hey, Maximum Overdrive right there. The humans are alive.
But Yeah, the ice cream truck riding around, that was ridiculous funny. And then
we cut back to the diner, and we had the waitress. She's like cutting up some guy's food. And the motorized like turkey carving knife comes along. I don't know how this happened. Okay, now here we go again. So you have your hand on this thing and you're cutting. Okay. How in the world all of a sudden it gains superhuman strength and is able to turn your hand and like slice your own hand? I mean, I don't know. But anyways,
and
the knife comes
on
alive and it starts like cutting her hand. She's freaking out. There's blood everywhere. It was alive. It bit me.
And then it fell on the ground and it cut her foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cut into her shoe. And Emilio comes over and he starts smashing it and stuff and everything. And then they're like, what the hell's going on? And everything starts going crazy. Andy, who drove one of the when you think of Maximum Overdrive 2 with
Maximum Overdrive 2?
No, I said one thing you think about Maximum Overdrive is 2, that AC/DC soundtrack for the movie and the Green Goblin head that was on the truck.
Yeah.
And it was drove by Andy, and it started coming alive, and it ran across the parking lot there, and then people's like, what the hell's going on?
Well, Andy was your typical big, like, 350-pound, like, black trucker guy, you know?
Yeah,
big
he was
beard
cool.
and everything. And he was
cool.
like, oh, no, hell the hell that happened. I got the keys right here.
Then we shoot to, I was telling Mcshaft, the comic relief of this movie, with everything with like lawnmowers running over people, steamrollers running over kids, and just ice cream trucks trying to run around the neighborhood. We got Kurt and Connie, newlyweds.
Curtis.
Yes, Curtis. who was played by Yearling Smith and John Short.
Now, Yearling Smith, if you know, did the voice of Lisa Simpson for The Simpsons. So you can kind of hear, her voice in this movie, but more with like a Carolina accent.
Yeah. She is embarrassed by this movie. I wonder why. No.
I'd have been pretty stoked about being in this movie.
I would too, because it's a cult classic. But she's embarrassed by this movie. Now, we see these newlyweds driving up, and she's like,
I think they're driving like a Buick or something. I don't know.
Yeah. She's like, Curtis, I need to go use the bathroom. And then of course, Curtis is like, okay. He's like, you don't mind if I watch you squat? Oh yeah. And then they pull up to this gas station. And then they're sitting there with this looking around like, it's like,
where's everybody at?
Yeah, and he's like, Curtis.
And then he gets out of the car and starts looking around to see where the pump station guy was. Because back in this day, okay, a lot of gas stations still, when you pulled up, a little bell would ring and someone would come out and offer to wash your windows and like pump your gas for you in some places. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, that must have been so nice. I don't have to pump my own gas. Get over it. It's not that hard. So he was looking for the service station guy, and as he's looking, he goes around the side of the building and he sees like these bloody legs hanging out from, I think, this door or something like that. And then you start hearing like this like air wrench, like a, and all of a sudden you hear this truck start up and it starts coming out. It's like a tow truck. I think
it was some messed
starts
up
coming
like
after
tow truck.
him. Yeah.
And it came after him, and of course Connie's all yelling and stuff, and it tries to run over Curtis. You're like, oh man, he's dead. And then it destroys the awning of the building.
Yep.
And it knocks Curtis down. And my favorite line, Connie was like, Curtis, are you dead? It's like if he was dead, he would not wake up. Yeah. And he woke up, and then all of a sudden the thing started trying to back up. And then she's like, get in the car.
So they got in the car, or she was driving this time, and they started hauling ass down the road and everything.
The interstate. And then
interstate.
Later on, it shows them going down the interstate, and you see all the trucks heading towards probably where...
And she's like, where do you think they're all going?
He's like, I don't know. He's like
maybe Milwaukee. Yeah, maybe Milwaukee. Yeah. Something like that.
Then Curtis gets cut off by a truck, and that truck starts chasing his ass down the road, Curtis and Connie, and she's yelling, and he's ramming the back of their car, and he's trying to swerve off the exits and everything. And remember,
and then the truck hits like the median and like flips and then blows up. I mean, pre-Michael Bay explosions here. Okay?
Good shot. Good shot.
It was a good shot.
Because it just blows up all of a sudden in midair. It's like,
and then we cut to it was the girl riding in the car with like this
Bible salesman
guy,
which is
she's like a hitchhiker. Like
it was Laura Harrington who played Brent. I guess she was on her way hitchhiking to Florida, and he was the Bible salesman. He was all like, into, spreading the word of God and everything, but he was also trying to fill her up at the same time.
Ha ha.
Yeah. You remember that line in that movie right there? I mean,
they heard this, like, distress signal on the radio, like, you need to get off the highways and everything. And she's like, did you not hear what the radio said? We need to get off the highway. And the guy's like, oh, piddle paddle. You ain't got to listen to that. Ain't nothing wrong. And so she winds up like grabbing what is it?
Yeah, she says to him, if you don't get your hands off my leg, you're gonna be wiping your ass with the hook next time you take a dump. And he's like, I never heard anyone talk like that when I was a boy.
So basically, she sees the Dixie Boy, and she winds up grabbing the wheel of the car and like jerking it and having the car slide off the interstate into the parking lot of the Dixie Boy. So then they decide that basically have a bite to eat. So that's how they got, into the truck stop.
Yeah, and then one of the guys there, when everything started messing up, he was pumping gas, and then he got sprayed with diesel. Which
the gas pump sprayed diesel on his face.
Yeah,
so he was blind.
And he went to go look for his boy, who later on we find out is the kid who survived the ice cream truck and lawnmower that chased him.
And he winds up getting hit by the Green Goblin truck.
Just like I said, when here it's like, look out, and you just stand there frozen and going, ah.
Well, he couldn't see. I mean, so then what happens is all the trucks in the lot start forming a giant circle around the gas station.
Yeah.
And at this time, Curtis and Connie have made it to the Dixie Boy, and they're sitting there on this hill like, what the hell's going on? We got to get in that gas station. So there's a little break in the circle.
Oh, yeah.
It kind of reminded me of back in the day when the cowboys and Indians, like the Indians would circle the wagons and stuff. That's pretty much how it was.
Yeah, and then when they're sitting there, waiting, Connie, and the conversation with Connie and Curtis, Connie was like, oh, my God, when we get to that truck stop, everything's going to be all right. Oh, yes, mocking Curtis. And Curtis, sit there, and she's like, what are you doing? And he says, see that gap? Next time it comes around, I'm going to shoot right through it. And she's like, oh, no, you don't. They'll gang up on us and squash us. And he's like, I could do it. He's like, oh, so we could be inside where they are. He says, what do you think is going to happen with us if we stay out here? And she's like, don't say nothing for a minute. And she's like, I'm scared. And he's like, me too.
And then he freaking kicks it in the drive and punches the gas. Gets going, and just as he makes it through the gap, one of the trucks ends up clipping the car and causing it to flip. So everyone in the diner has to run out and, trying to help him out of the car. And, of course, Connie's stuck. And out of nowhere, here comes one of the trucks coming right at him. And at the last second, she gets pulled out, and they start running toward the diner. And then here comes the truck behind them. And at that split second, when you think the truck's going to hit him, you see the gas station owner, what's his name, Hendershot, Pat Hingle, comes out, and he has this, like, freaking bazooka, and he fires it, and they drop to the ground. It goes over their head, hits the truck, and explodes, and Connie's screaming, ah, Curtis! explodes. And
she's
truck
like
blows up.
Yeah, she's like, the hell, I almost got shot by a rocket. Like she's like, I'm worried about him. And basically through the whole film, just when they from introduced to the end, she's just complaining and yelling the whole time. And
he told the one guy, he goes, put this back down in the basement. And the rest of us is like, where the hell did you get that? He's like, you better shut your mouth, boy. Yeah. So now they're teasing that this random truck stop in the middle of South Carolina, or North Carolina, yes, has like a basement full of fucking like weapons and explosives and stuff. I mean, there you go. There's irony right there.
I know World War III would happen. That's the place to be right there. Excuse me.
So then we start to see a little more different types of vehicles coming to this truck stop. Besides semis, we think we have like an army jeep with a mounted machine gun shows up,
and a bulldozer. We're like,
bulldozer?
What the hell? Yeah. What the hell is the bulldozer doing?
They wind up cutting the power.
We can't forget one little tidbit. Huh. The kid is headed to the truck stop where his dad is, and remember the plane that's sitting there.
It's a freaking plane. Yeah.
I mean,
it was like was it a real plane or an RC plane, like a remote control plane?
It was a real plane.
A real plane
because I know what happened. If you remember what happened with the plane was at the end, towards the end when it showed everyone getting the hell out away. There was a bus, and you can see the plane crash right into the bus. Right. It was standing straight up. Yeah. That shit was funny. But like you said,
they cut the power to the diner, so they didn't have any power.
Yes.
They got all these new vehicles now. There's a dump truck, a bulldozer, whatever it is. They got this mounted machine gun to like army jeep going around and everything.
Yes.
Circling the diner still. And the waitress that had her wrist cut with the knife, she's to the breaking point. She's like, I'm tired of this. Why are we being so afraid? We made them. They should be, listen to us. And she's just at the breaking point. So she grabs, I think the bazooka.
Oh, yeah. Well, what happens
she starts screaming the most famous lines in this movie.
Yeah, because the what was it? The bulldozer took the Bible salesman. Oh yeah, the Bible salesman. Remember what happened to him when he parked his car out front there?
Yeah, the truck backs up into him, hits him, and he flies like 50 feet. Okay, and lands in a ditch, and you think he's dead.
It knocked him out of his shoes, man. That's what's funny about it.
Spoiler alert: he's not dead. He was just badly. Later on,
what happened was when the truck. What's funny is he's not dead because he's in the ditch. You remember, he's sitting there and he's in the diner and he's sitting there talking and he's trying to sell. He's like the Word of God. The Bible. It's like, and he's all being really good. And the truck came and clipped his car, and that's when he got all mad, and he's sitting there, he gets up, he starts cussing, he's like, oh, son of a bitch, and it's like, you're not such a wholesome Bible salesman. And then that's when the Green Goblin hits him and knocks him out of his shoes into the ditch. And
you know what? Can we find a picture of this Green Goblin truck to kind of show everyone, just because to give them like a better picture of it? Because it was modeled after the infamous Green Goblin from the Marvel comics. It was. I mean, that was the biggest inspiration to it. But the waitress, now she's tired of everything. Okay, the power is out. The bulldozer kind of took out part of the restaurant.
Yeah, by the Bible salesman car.
So she's, at the breaking point this time. So she goes and she grabs the bazooka, walks outside and starts screaming. We made you. We made you, and everyone's looking at her like, get back in. And she's like, no. She's like, we made them. What? They can't do this. We made you. And then just as she's standing outside screaming this, that army jeep, you see that turret gun kind of lean over toward her. And, you get one final cut that we made you. and the machine gun just starts unloading on this waitress. And as she falls, I think the rocket launcher goes off and it hits.
No, it
didn't go
don't.
off that time? Okay.
It don't. She drops it.
Yeah, but now it's laying there outside the diner next to her corpse. So it's like, how are they going to get this bazooka back?
Yeah, the one thing before that, the kid crossed through one of the ditches things, and Emilio with Curtis, with Connie, like, you ain't going out there playing hero.
Yeah, behind the Dixie Boy.
The Bible salesman, he's alive, and he's like, help.
And we
don't want to hear it.
Well, the boy winds up finding this like sewer drain in this building behind the Dixie Boy, crawls to the sewer drain, is able to get underneath this like back building, like a pump room, and actually get into the Dixie Boy. Yeah, sneeze there. But so that's how the kid makes in there. So now they're all saying, well, if we can get him in, then that means we can get out without being detected. Right. So they're kind of developing a plan on, like, you know, where they're going to go. Like, what's our next step? Is that Connie and Curtis right there?
Yeah.
Oh, throw them up real quick. Let's get Connie and Curtis.
Actually,
we talk so much about Connie and Curtis.
I know. Well, this is what I'm going to do here.
So basically at this time, you know, just like any other movie like this, whether it be zombies or anything, you know, the people are going to start weaponizing themselves. So they all go down to the basement, and they find that the basement of this truck stop is, I mean, an armory. I mean, they got machine guns, ammo, explosives, they got everything. So of course they start arming themselves. But what they need first is they need power, because they gotta get, you know, they gotta have food, and they gotta get, you know, water and stuff. So Emilio Estevez winds up going outside and basically kind of bartering with the trucks, saying, you know, well, what it was is that the trucks kept beeping their horns,
right? And
they couldn't figure out why. And I guess this gas truck comes backing up, and so they kind of got the hint, like, oh, they're low on fuel. They need us to refuel them. Obviously, they don't have hands. So at this point, Emilio Estevez kind of goes out to the army jeep with the machine gun and basically says, you know, let all your friends know that, you know, they can come here for the gas. So they basically, now it's a scene where all these trucks, I mean, an endless line of trucks are coming to the Dixie Boy, and all the people are basically going outside to the pumps, filling up all these trucks. And what they're doing is kind of buying themselves some time so they can develop a plan on how they're going to escape and everything, because they know that if they don't start refilling the trucks, they're going to wind up killing them anyway. So they're trying to make the trucks and the vehicles happy while trying to develop a plan to escape. It had a pretty good, they had the nice little cut scene, AC/DC playing in the back and everything. So here we have a shot of the people in the diner. You've got Emilio Estevez there in the white shirt. There's Connie and Curtis right there. Mm-hmm. We're talking a lot about them, so we get some cool pictures for that. So at this point, everyone's exhausted. The cars and stuff end up bringing the power back on. There's the Goblin truck, the main villain truck of the movie right here. Yep. As you can see, it's modeled after the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. So at this point, they're basically armed up. They got the power back on. The gas is completely empty out of the truck stop. They have no more gas. And now they develop a plan to kind of sneak out underground and take off to an island, like we said earlier, an island where there's no vehicles, no electronics.
They're done. They had enough. After spending all that time filling up all the vehicles, and like you said, it was like the machines. Basically, Emilio got to feel how the machines felt working all the time, man, all the time, not resting.
So what does he do? He goes over to the army jeep as he's trying to
talk
attach
to
all the
one
pumps,
of the guys. Yeah,
throws a grenade in the army jeep, rolls away, blows up the army jeeps. Now I can't shoot them. So now the trucks are pissed. So they get back inside, and they wind up all going underground, escaping. So at this point, all the vehicles are pissed. Where's our people at? They want to get in the bulldozer and just mowing down the Dixie Boy.
Yeah, Dixie Boy is done, demolished. And then they take off running on the road because, they were going to head to the boat and get the hell out.
But
and head
there
to the
was
island.
one problem.
They stopped. They stopped at this
marina. The marina with all the boats.
Or not the marina. They stopped at this film, one of this drive-in diners, and they're sitting there, and they're all talking and everything, and all of a sudden the drive-in thing comes alive, and he's like, humans here, humans here, humans here,
That's right,
humans here. And then all of a sudden a vehicle comes down the road and they blow it up, and then out of nowhere your favorite vehicle shows up running down the road. You're like running around.
The ice cream truck. Yeah, dude. He's gonna give him a not so soft serve treat.
Yeah.
But what was great though is that they make it to this marina, and
the ice cream truck.
Yeah.
There's a little tidbit about that. During that scene where it flips over, the stunt didn't go accordingly as planned. A telephone pole size beam of wood was placed inside so that it would help it flip end over in, but it only flipped once and slid on its roof right into the camera. Gene Pooley, the dolly grip of the film, pulled the cameraman out of the way at the last second. Accordingly, Pulley's name is in a list of one of the time cards when Bill is putting his card back after he's told Bubba that he must work, more hours than he is going to get paid for.
As a joke, because So they wind up making it to this marina.
Yes.
And they see a boat and they all start going toward it. And then what happens? Human instinct comes in. One of the guys sees someone dead sitting in a car or whatever.
A woman.
And her hands out and a big old ring on her finger. So what's the first thing he's going to do? I'm going to take this ring.
I'm gonna take this.
So he gets over there and he starts trying to pry this ring off this chick's finger. And lo and behold, our favorite truck comes into play.
Yes.
Green Goblin. Mm-hmm. He winds up sitting there. His eyes start lighting red. And he winds up coming out and taking him out. So just as everyone gets to the boat, they hear the scream and look back, and here comes the truck after him.
They're like, hey, and he said, of course, boom, he gets it.
So what do? They take out the bazooka?
Emilio does. Hell yeah. Blows them up, man, and that's it. They get in the boat, and you're like, okay, and then they says at the conclusion of the film, they said the comet, what happened was Russia seen a UFO in the midst of the comet, and they shut it down with a nuclear missile, and everything basically went back to normal. And then, Earth rode out the next 6 days with the comet, and that was it. Apparently, I guess here's what I'm thinking about it. Here's my theory on it. Apparently, aliens were like, all right, we need to kill the human race. How are we going to do that? It's like, okay, this comet's passing over Earth at this time. The tail end is going to linger for this time.
So we can piggyback on it.
And basically take over mankind's electronic stuff and have that stuff kill him. Because remember the gun with the horn doing SOS, SOS?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, basically that was like almost like the way, they communicate with the humans. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like you're going to kill them with their electronic stuff, or you're going to basically kill them. They're going to kill themselves, work themselves to death, trying to, be slaves now to, the electronic devices.
Which kind of makes me think, though, if the aliens were actually like robot aliens, that's why they,
They probably could have been.
Could have been that, yeah.
It could have been. But the way this movie was shot, just filmed, like a lot of the scenes, how they were cut, I didn't see no flaw in like how everything was cut. There was enough time when something big would happen, especially like with the kid with the steamroller, the guy getting hit in the head, killed by a can of Coke, getting killed by caffeine.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's pretty.
I mean, explosions and stuff. It kind of slowed it down a little because of the action. They just had some action to it. This movie, you do not take too seriously. And one thing I gotta say is this film came out in 1986.
But the thing about it, though, is that this. I don't think that they expected this movie to be like the hit movie. Mm-hmm. I think it's more of just like a sit back on a Saturday or a Sunday, just relaxing. Let me put on something to entertain me, maybe take about an hour and a half of my time away. And here it is, the perfect movie. It keeps your attention. It doesn't get boring, but it's not like, overly like action-packed. It has just enough. It's a good, entertaining movie.
It is.
Just to make note, though, some of the movies that came out that same month in 86.
July of 86.
We got Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, About Last Night.
Psycho 3. Oh, there you go.
Under the Cherry Moon.
Aliens.
Yep. Yes.
And Flight of the Navigator. If everybody remembers that movie.
Yes.
So, we also, I think, that year, I think Top Gun was like one of the top grossing movies.
Yeah, Crocodile Dundee, Platoon, Karate Kid Part 2. These are the top 10
The Golden Child
movies.
And Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Look at that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they go back to school. Star Trek, I think that's 4 right there, The Voyage Home.
Oh, did you know that same year Arnold Schwarzenegger married Maria Shriver?
Shriver.
Yeah. Same
now, summer is what? June through August or September, right there, somewhere in there.
I think it's like May or June through August, yeah.
That summer right there, summer 86, you got to look. I mean, you had My Little Pony, the movie, Space Camp. I remember Space Camp.
Invaders from Mars.
Back to School. What?
Invaders from Mars. Remember that one? Where the kid and his parents would go over the hill. Remember? And the aliens took over the humans and stuff. And the kid was running. Yeah, that was a good movie. We might have to review that in a future episode. That was a good movie.
Yeah, the Karate Kid Part 2 kicked off summer. Labyrinth, And then, of course, in July, like we mentioned, Aliens, About Last Night, Big Trouble in Little China, Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
And then August.
Oh, you go Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Jason Lives.
Oh, Howard the Duck. Oh, man, I remember that
one. Crazy Summer with John Cusack.
There you go. Stand By Me.
Another Stephen King, which did, really well. Transformers, the animated movie that came out.
The Fly.
Yeah, Armed and Dangerous, The Fly, the remake of the original classic.
Yeah, that had Vincent Price in it, I think, the original one.
Yeah, it did. Night of the Creeps.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Touch and Go. This is towards the end of like the summer.
Crocodile Dundee came out that September.
Yeah, I mean. Just all these, these movies just came out. And Maximum Overdrive, this movie was right there, right in the middle of all this stuff that was going on.
So I had a lot of good competition with it, but it did.
It didn't do that well.
I liked it. I mean, it was a good movie. Yeah. I mean, Emilio Estevez. I mean, he was. I think it was like right before the Mighty Ducks. I think.
Mighty Ducks came out in the 90s.
Yeah, so I mean, he was still.
This was right before Young Guns 1, which came out in I think 87 or 88.
Yeah. Now, can you imagine how big this movie would have been if it was after like Mighty Ducks and everything? Mm-hmm. So and The Simpsons came out, Star Power. I mean,
yeah.
But I think this movie definitely deserves a really good remake.
You do?
I think so.
I mean, honestly, I could see this movie if Hollywood decide to spend time into it and remake it and make it modern day. Well, like I said earlier, they would have so much damn fun with everything they can do. Like here's for instance, okay. They could shoot a scene where you got a bunch of millenniums sitting there on their phones and they start going off like sending text message to each other like saying fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That would be so funny.
Some
and
guys out in
explode.
Some guys out in a baseball field flying his drone and the drone turns around and comes and hits. I mean, but
then of course you got to have a steamroller come out of nowhere. The drone blinds him, and he's running across the baseball field, and then the steamroller runs over.
That it'd be better if they remade it on modern times, or if they remade the movie but kept it in the 80s.
They could.
With the special effects and everything we have now.
Oh God! Yeah.
I mean, that'd be pretty sick. Have it still in the 80s. I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
The acting in this, it wasn't horrible and it wasn't unbearable. I mean, it was just it was good. Like on the screen there, you saw Connie and Kurt. Uh-huh. That was the comic relief.
Actually, it'd be cool. They did it like a short Netflix series, like Stranger Things, where they had 8 episodes, and just do it like that. I think that'd be pretty sick.
They could. They definitely could do something like that.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
But I'm surprised after 30 years this film, they hasn't been remade or anything. But you know what? I like the film like it is. The way it was shot was good. I saw no flaws in the way the shot and the angles and everything for this movie was set up. The acting, like I said, wasn't too bad, too good, or it was minimal.
Yep.
What was going on in the movie basically took over for a lot of the dialogue, because a lot of the scenes basically.
Well, I mean, when you have trucks and stuff, I mean, they can't talk. So I mean, it's
Yeah, it was basically it was sitting there, just these survivors trying to survive and try to figure out how not to get killed by the menace of what was going on outside of this truck stop.
Yeah.
All in all, this movie here, I enjoyed it. I didn't take it too serious, because when I first see the first 5-10 minutes into a movie, I know if I'm going to enjoy it or if I'm not going to enjoy it. Where basically the stuff that was going on, like the movie when it started out with Stephen King at the ATM saying, "Hey, this ATM called me an asshole." I knew, I was like, "Oh man, this is crazy." And the scene with the bridge, I'm like, okay, shit's gonna mess up and people's gonna get hurt. And it definitely, I didn't take it too serious with the damn out of everything. You got it, like you said, a damn steamroller comes out of nowhere when a kid flips in the field on his bike, and it's like, he flipped. What the hell? And then here goes a damn steam.
Telling you.
I'm like, I'm not taking this movie seriously, because I said to myself, I'm like, what else is going to happen? Who is going to die in what type of, bad way?
Yep.
We talked about giving this film a rating system. Well, actually, first, what is your opinion about Maximum Overdrive?
I like it. I think it's a very good movie that, like I said, needs a good remake to it. I enjoy watching it every time that I watch it. Never get bored with it. I mean, I'd recommend it to anybody that asks me, "Hey, what's a good movie that I could watch I've probably never seen before?" Maximum Overdrive. Yes. I mean, it's a very good movie. I believe our rating system, we were going to do 2 things. If we liked it, we were going to pull out the classic Toasty
from
Mortal Kombat, because when you do that uppercut just right, you get a little Toasty guy come out. And if we don't like a movie, then we're going to give it a fatality, because we didn't, like it. So this movie, I'm going to give 3 out of 5 Toasties, because I liked it. Toasty. There you go.
All right.
What would you give this movie?
I would give this movie 3 out of 5 Toasties.
Nice. Toasty. There it is.
There we go. If you have not seen Maximum Overdrive, please head over to the Everett Lee Show.weebly.com official website of ELS and click on the Amazon.com links. And when you do, click on the Amazon.com link.
Order it.
Order Maximum Overdrive.
Order it.
From there, DVD and or on Blu-ray.
Let's see. Okay. I'm going to pull it up right now, and let's see what kind of options that we got here for Maximum Overdrive.
Actually, I can do that like right here on the computer here.
We're gonna
Let me pull up the official website of the Everett Lee Show. Here we go, right here. Viewers and listeners.
Okay, let's see.
Right there is the official website of the Everett Lee Show. Now, when you scroll down from the news, you see this Amazon right here. Right there, I have highlighted.
Yep.
The Amazon link. Click on it, and it'll link you right over to Amazon.com. And we're looking for what movie are we looking for again? Maximum Overdrive, man.
So let's see here.
You know,
I got some stuff on here. All right, so through Amazon, the first link, it gives you can actually rent and watch this online for $3.99 in HD, or you can buy the digital copy of it through the website for $7.99,
like
and
right
it's in
here?
HD. Yes,
right here.
Now, also, this is the one I got, the one right below it. It's a double feature DVD featuring Maximum Overdrive and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Raw Deal, one of his off movies. I got that one. That one's $19.94. Also, what's that one below it? They've got that one's $56. So why is that $56?
Why is this one
now,
$56?
They do have a Blu-ray below it. The Blu-ray is only $20. But why is that one right there $50?
56.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Someone's selling it.
Oh, okay,
that's why.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why.
Yeah, below that one, they have the Blu-ray copy,
unrated,
$20.97.
Yep,
Blu-ray. There you go. Yeah, there it is.
Playback Region 2. That's why.
Oh, okay, in North America. Okay, so we need to find. I think one below it. It says. Which one? A, B, and C.
That one?
Is that right?
I think. No.
Yeah. There you go. Blu-ray, Maximum Overdrive, English language, version, region free. Oh, that's a Japanese import of it. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Look at that.
Look at that. Yeah. That's pretty neat. Japanese import of it.
That is. You get to see some of the, different types of artwork and stuff.
Oh, look at that. You got a 3-movie deal here from Stephen King. You get Children of the Corn, Creep Show 2, and Maximum Overdrive, and a 3-movie deal. And how much is that? Does it say?
No.
No? Okay.
I don't. But what I just did right there, I clicked on the Amazon.com link on the Everett Lee Show website, and it brought me right here. And
I mean, if you're unsure about it, first link right there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can rent it for $3.99 or buy a digital copy of it for $7.99. I mean, you can't beat that.
No, you can't. You cannot.
Buy the digital copy for $7.99, put on your computer, take it with you, show your friends. Mm-hmm. That's what I would do.
Yeah, you definitely would. You definitely would.
Yeah.
And, well, Mcshaft, I think that's about it for this episode of Films a Classic. Be sure to support Everett Lee's Show on the Patreon page there on that address you see going across the screen right there. And for listeners, it's patreon.com/ELS_DT. Become a Patreon member and you get content like this. I mean, I do want to thank Mcshaft. Feels the same way.
I want to thank Stephen King.
Yes.
For making this movie.
Yes. And having us talk about it. We want to thank the Patreon members who actually pledged $1, $5, $10, $20 to ELS to get this content and to get this podcast, this audio and video podcast. So thank you so much for that. You can follow ELS on the official Facebook page at facebook.com/the Everett Lee. Give a thumbs up. Also, Twitter. You can follow ELS on Twitter at the Everett Lee. And then, of course, the official website, which is not Facebook.
Whoa.
EverettLeeShow.weebly.com.
Weebly.
Yes. Then, of course, we have, you can listen to Everett Lee Show audio podcast on
iTunes.
everettleeshow.libsyn.com. Stitcher Radio. Download the Stitcher Radio app for your smartphone and tablet. Or, when you're on the computer, go to stitcher.com/podcast/Everett Lee Show. And, of course, Mcshaft, who's an iPhone guy.
iTunes, right there.
That's right, iTunes. Search the Everett Lee Show on iTunes.
Like iTunes. Good stuff.
And support us on Patreon. Again.
Yeah.
Well, that is it, Mcshaft.
I think I'm going to go find a RC car version of that Green Goblin semi-truck. Hey, you know what? Let's just go get our CBLs. Let's just go drive semis.
We could. We definitely could.
We could do that. Cross country driving, podcast in between. Woo! We can stop at every truck stop known to man.
To Films of Classic, brought to you by ELS Everett Lee Show.
I'm Everett Lee.
I am Wooly Mcshaft.
We are out of here. Thanks for listening. And
we'll see you on the road.
Yes.